Paul Phoenix is a character in the Tekken series who made his debut in the first Tekken game and has since appeared in every game to date. He is a hot-headed, aggressive character, determined more than ever to win the King of Iron Fist tournament and prove he is the best fighter in the entire universe. Paul is good friends with the Law family. Although he gets close several times, especially in Tekken 3, Paul has never won a tournament. Additionally, despite his setup in the first game as Kazuya Mishima's rival, Paul's chances of challenging Kazuya in a rematch are consistently thwarted by fights with Kuma I, Kuma II, or Panda. Paul Phoenix is a tough American fighter whose battle spirit was first kindled by his watching his bear killer Willie Williams as a child. Something of a drifter, Paul had no real career, instead making money by street fighting and taking occasional work as a bouncer while he pursued his real passion. Proving himself to be the toughest fighter in the universe, Paul trained with martial law, who would go on to become his good friend, and Lee Kalen, and remained undefeated in battle until he fought Kazuya Mishima to a draw. When Paul heard the announcement of the King of Iron Fist tournament, he entered seeing the opportunity to face his rival, Kazuya, and prove himself to be the best. During the tournament, Paul defeated a bear named Kuma, but was unable to defeat Kazuya when they fought. 2 years passed before news reached Paul of a second tournament. Paul entered, and while he was again successful in defeating Kuma, he was still unable to prove himself to be stronger than Kazuya. Traffic on the Japanese highways prevented him from reaching the venue in time, forcing him to forfeit. Paul had to wait almost 20 years for a third chance to prove himself, but when he received an invitation to another King of Iron Fist tournament, he accepted immediately. Paul also convinced his good friend Martial Law's son, Forrest, to enter, infuriating Martial in the process. At the tournament, Paul defeated all who stood before him, including Kuma II and Ogre, the god of fighting himself. Returning home believing himself to be victorious, Paul was unaware that victory had once again eluded him. Ogre had not been defeated and had morphed into his true monstrous form, only to be defeated by Jin Kazama. Feeling cheated of his win, Paul began telling everyone that he was the true victor of the third tournament. People soon grew tired of hearing this, and the dojo Paul had established went out of business due to a lack of students. When Paul learned of the King of Iron Fist Tournament 4, he entered, seeking his long-overdue victory. He was also keen to have another rematch with Kazuya. This time, though, Paul lost a fight to Kuma. Humbled, Paul returned to his training with renewed determination. When the announcement of a fifth tournament reached Paul, he entered with renewed vigor. This time, Paul successfully defeated Kuma, but the fight took its toll on him and, exhausted, Paul was forced to forfeit the tournament again. Soon after, the sixth King of Iron Fist tournament was announced. Short of money, Paul entered, but realizing that his mistake in the past had been in pursuing victory on his own, he teamed up with his old friend Martial Law to try and win the prize money together. Law also brought Steve Fox into the team. However, the trio did not win the prize money. Afterwards, Martial asked Paul if he knew anyone who could lead the Martial dojo while he dealt with some financial issues. Paul said he would run the dojo for Martial, but Martial politely declined, privately expecting that Paul's leadership would make the dojo go bust in days. Paul went on to enter the King of Iron Fist Tournament 7.